Good morning. Thank you for coming in so early. We just had a couple of updates on some death investigations that we wanted to apprise you all of. First of all, on the screen, if you'll see, well, first of all, to my right, Chief Dan O'Shea, Rockford Police Department. To my left, Winnebago County Sheriff Gary Carolina. First, I'd like to apprise you of the indictment of DeMarcus Lattin, date of birth April 30th, 1991, for first-degree murder of 54-year-old Andre Bolts. On October 12th, the Rockford City Police Department responded to 2311 Harmony Street in reference to a welfare check. At that time, they found the victim sitting on the couch with a blanket over his head. He appeared to be suffering from multiple blunt force trauma to the head. He was pronounced deceased at the scene. An autopsy determined that he died from those injuries. During the investigation, DeMarcus Lattin was developed as a suspect. He currently is facing charges of first-degree murder, which carry a sentence of 20 to 60 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 3 years of mandatory supervised release. He is also charged with armed robbery, which is a Class X felony, carrying a penalty of 6 to 30 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 3 years of mandatory supervised release. He is also charged with possession of a stolen motor vehicle, as well as robbery. Those are both Class 2 felonies which carry a possible sentence of 3 to 7 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 2 years of mandatory supervised release. These charges against Mr. Lattin are merely allegations, and he is presumed innocent until or unless proven guilty in a court of law. He is scheduled to appear today at 1:30 p.m. before Judge Maher in courtroom D, as in David. The next individual, Joseph G. Peppers, was recently indicted by the Winnebago County Grand Jury for the charges of first-degree murder, aggravated domestic battery, and concealment of a homicidal death. On October 23, 2020, Rachel Dishman, 43 years old, left her home that evening with the defendant. She failed to return home, and on October 25, 2020, she was reported missing to the Winnebago County Sheriff's Department. At that time, the Sheriff's Department began conducting a missing person investigation. That missing person investigation turned into a death investigation because on October 27, 2020, Rachel's body was found in a quarry on Cunningham Road in Winnebago County. At that time, a preliminary determination with the autopsy report determined that she had sustained blunt force trauma to the head, which resulted in her death. During the investigation, Joseph Peppers, her boyfriend, was developed as a suspect, and charges were subsequently authorized by my office. First-degree murder is a Class M felony which carries a possible penalty of 20 to 60 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 3 years of mandatory supervised release. Aggravated domestic battery is a Class 2 felony punishable by 3 to 7 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 4 years of mandatory supervised release. Concealment of a homicidal death is a Class 3 felony punishable by 2 to 5 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections, followed by 1 year of mandatory supervised release. The defendant is currently scheduled to appear in front of the Honorable Judge Clifford on December 2nd, 2020 at 9:30 a.m. in courtroom B, as in boy, in the Winnebago County Criminal Justice Center. The charges against Mr. Pepper are merely allegations, and he is presumed innocent until or unless proven guilty in a court of law. At this time, I would like to thank the Rockford Police Department and the Sheriff's Department for their hard work on investigating these cases and discovering the evidence in these cases and bringing it to my office so that charges could be authorized. I also want to thank the community. We cannot continue to solve these types of cases without the community help in coming forward and assisting law enforcement. And I would also like to thank the families of Ms. Dishman and Mr. Bowles for their patience during the investigatory process with law enforcement. As you know, domestic violence is a situation in our community that is very pervasive. It has been heightened during the COVID pandemic. I've done recent press conferences on the increase in domestic violence cases that my office has filed. And again, we have another victim who has succumbed and come to her death as a result of domestic violence. So I want to again bring awareness to the community that if you know of someone who might be in a domestic violence situation, that you certainly reach out to the Family Peace Center, which has been designed to be a one-stop shop for all of your needs and resources so that we can assist you and you can survive the domestic and abusive relationship. At this time, I'll ask Chief O'Shea to step forward, and following Chief O'Shea, Sheriff Caruana will step forward, and then we'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
So I'll just say, as always, thanks to the officers, the detectives for the hard work in the cases. It seems we stand here way too often talking about violence, gun violence, domestic violence, homicides in this city. We have a serious issue of people that have no conflict resolution skills in this community, and it takes the whole community to keep working on that. The violent crime here needs to stop. Thank the community members, as State's Attorney said. We thank them for helping us during these investigations. We still have a lot of unsolved homicides out there from this year, particularly, so we're always looking for more help on those. If anybody has any information whatsoever, please contact either the city PD or the county PD with the information for those particular cases. Thanks.
Again, like Chief O'Shea said and the State's Attorney said, I appreciate the assistance and help of the committee in solving these issues and these crimes. I'm glad that we are working together with the Family Peace Center as a team, as with the city and the county. We have a good teamwork in any of these investigations. I do want to thank the men and women of the Winnebago County Sheriff's Police for all their diligent hard work to investigate that murder and aggravated domestic battery, which is very, very sad. And I want to thank the men and women of the Rockford PD for all their support and continued support, and Chief O'Shea. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Questions?
Marilyn, any idea how long Mr. Peppers and Ms. Dishman have been involved?
I don't have the length of time, only that they were in a dating relationship.
Mm-hmm. And do you know, did Mr. The gentleman who died on Parmalee, did he know his attacker?
Yes. They did have a friendship, is what the investigation showed.
Mm-hmm. Marilyn, on another subject, is there any update on your review of the task force's investigation into Mr. Jones's death?
Mr. Jones's death. I don't have an investigation regarding the death of a Mr. Jones.
It's Tyrese, the gentleman,
Oh, you mean the officer involved shooting?
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Let's just be clear, I'm not currently reviewing an officer-involved shooting that resulted in death. I am currently reviewing an officer-involved shooting where Tyrese Jones was injured, and I am still in the process of that review. With respect to this topic, I would just like to add that, as Chief O'Shea said, we do have a lot of unsolved murders in our community, but let's just be very clear, no one gets away with murder. Sooner or later, witnesses will come forward, the evidence will be developed, and you will be charged. There's no statute of limitations on murder. So don't think that you will get away with murder in Winnebago County, because the Sheriff's Department, the Rockford Police Department, and all of the law enforcement agencies within Winnebago County will be tenacious in their efforts to continue to work on all of the unsolved cases, no matter how long ago they occurred. Thank you.
Nice of you. Thank you.